And now on Nights with Steve Price from the 50-Up Club, Christopher Zinn.
Yes, listen up. Christopher joins us every Thursday night to talk about issues that pertain to our older Australians. But I shouldn't say that, given that I am now 60. I don't feel old. As Christopher and I have often said, 60 is the new 50, 50 is the new 40. So that must make 70 the new 60. Christopher, how are you?
Look, when it comes to figures like that, I agree with you, and I feel fine too, and I'm sure there are people listening who are age 90 who feel fine. So older, senior, yes, they're definitions, but I just think experienced is the best one.
My parents, Dad's 85 this year, Mother's 81, and I wouldn't have thought when I was growing up that anyone lived to 80. You would have thought, my God, 80? People retire, women at 60, men at 65. Surely you're not going to live till you're in your mid-80s. Well, that's exactly what's happening.
It's the longevity premium, as it's called, and it's been a real blessing. And actually, there's, for our kids, there's more to come. But I suppose the point is that you actually have to be able to afford to live that long as well, or certainly in the style to which you're accustomed.
What age should you stop wearing shorts to work?
Did I stop wearing shorts to work?
Or anyone? I mean,
yeah.
This is a half-serious point. The way that the baby boomers dress has changed too. I mean, traditionally, as people got older, their clothing got more conservative. But baby boomers, from what I can see, and it doesn't matter whether I'm in Melbourne or Sydney or Brisbane or wherever I am, baby boomers are refusing to go conservative with their dress. They still wear their board shorts around if they feel like it.
Yep, and jeans to work. Look, completely, and I think, as we've discussed before, the baby boomers really changed every decade they've been in, and they're going to do it disgracefully as they go greyer and balder as well. And more power to them, or us, I should say.
Well, exactly, and it really does affect consumer spending patterns. I mean, they are still buying, cars that they perhaps wouldn't have bought when our parents went more conservative. The older they got, they bought a more conservative car. They're taking, older Australians are taking adventure holidays. You go to the Australian ski slopes in the winter, you'll see stacks of people who are 60 plus still out there skiing. And in fact, most of the ski resorts, Christopher, you'll be pleased to know this. I know you're nowhere near this age, but a mate of mine who still, by the way, does a daily radio program that's the number one breakfast program in Melbourne, John Burns. Once you turn 70, you get free lift tickets.
That is something worth hanging on for, given the cost of skiing.
How good's that? You turn up and say, I'm 70. Where's my free lift ticket? I think that's fantastic. We're going to talk a little about trends tonight. Queensland University of Technology and the Heritage Bank have done a study into, come on, folks, if you think you're getting ripped off by people who provide you services and utilities, for goodness sake, pick up the phone and change.
Well, exactly, because there's $12 billion you could have saved. Now, this is the first time that really good research like this has gone on. It's kind of looked at not actually why people switch, but how much money they can stand to save. So they did a survey. So this was proper academic, not a make-up survey. And the thing they found, which I think is most relevant to us, as I said, there's $12 billion on the table. But the people who switch less tend to be older people, tend to live in the country, and tend to be females. So, look, I think we've proved them wrong on that, because as we've just discussed, that older people, 50-ups, tend to be more engaged as consumers. But look, it's well worth it. And there was 30% of who did this survey said that they switched their home loan. They saved more than $2,000 a year. So, I would think that was certainly worth making the effort for.
We had this conversation on the project on Channel 10 on Monday night about power suppliers and retail electricity providers, and why you wouldn't pick up your phone and change. I made the point that I think I find it all too hard. I hear what people are telling me, that I'm going to save myself a whole bunch of money, but by the time I go through the phone torture of getting to speak to a human and then going through and getting all the billing changed, they don't make it easy, because obviously they don't want to lose you as a customer.
Yeah, look, I'd say a couple of things to that. One is, particularly with electricity, you can, if you go through one of the comparison sites or through one of the campaigns, and I mean even 50-up clubs engaged with those, you can literally do it in a couple of minutes. So the process can be easy. The barrier is what is called the perceived switching costs. And while there is no direct monetary cost, there is a perception that it takes time and trouble and is difficult. And while that may be the case with a home loan, I mean, it's certainly going to take you a bit of time. With electricity and mobile telephony, those things are pretty easy to do. In fact, even a credit card is quite easy to do, but people perceive it to be harder than it actually is.
So with your old choice hat on, you would have looked at these comparison sites, I guess, both from home interest rates, electricity, gas, and telephony and telecom stuff. Were you always confident that they were doing the right thing by people?
I would slightly differ from choice now in that I would say that it's better to try them out because your chance of making a loss is quite small, but your chance of making a benefit is quite big. And by doing it once, you're more likely to continue. Certainly, it is the case that some of them, give the choices in a ranking which denotes how much commission that they might be paid by a particular provider. So that might not necessarily be in your best interest. But so they do provide transparency and they do provide a process. But I would always say start with the government. They've got an Energy Made Easy site, and that's the independent, disinterested one that probably has the most robust information. However, it doesn't actually switch you. Then you've got to go through another process. So part of the problem here is giving people confidence, making the information straightforward and transparent, and then making the process simple. I think we've still got a long way to go on that.
Two of the areas I'd urge people to certainly look at is credit cards, because you can get a much better deal on your credit card interest rate, can't you?
You can, and look, and it's been the case for some time. And high interest cards, 18-19%. $35 billion on debt rolling around. Many of them paying that much. Whereas you can get some cards below 9% and some cards with no annual fee. However, this academic work found that credit cards were the least likely product people were going to switch on, ironically, given that it's easiest. So I'm not quite sure why that is. Perhaps people do like the idea of rewards and points, even though they're paying through the nose for them. Or really that they don't think that they're going to be paying prohibitive interest for so long, so they're not sensitive enough to the real costs.
Well, I'd urge everybody to have a good look at that. Christopher Zinn from FiftyUp Club. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you on a Thursday. Thanks for talking to us, mate.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, Steve.
Christopher Zinn there. And those comparison sites are really worth having a look at. I mean, the other issue is groceries, but I'd be interested in your view on this. But you just go to Aldi if you want cheaper groceries, don't you? I mean, you know what Coles and Woolies are doing. But if you go to Aldi, you're obviously clearly going to get it cheaper. And if you go to Costco, probably even cheaper again. Have a look around. You'll save money.